I'm looking at the Bollinger Band, so I have the Bollinger Band selected, and the envelope across my stock. My lower indicators, I like to use the Relative Strength Index, and I also like to use the MACD levels down here so I can see what the MACD lines are doing. Of course, you can customize this any way you want to. If I just wanted to see a 6-month chart, just select the drop down and we'll select Draw Chart. So now we have a shorter time horizon that we're viewing and analyzing the Bollinger Bands, of course. Some of the other features that you can select for the upper lower indicators, parabolic SAR, if you want to view splits, earnings, and dividends, volume by price or channel, fast stochastic and slow stochastic, for example, Williams percent R, volatility ranges. I'm assuming this is the maybe 50-day or 90-day volatility range, percent short interest, earnings per share, price per earnings ratio, price per earning ranges. You can select a variety of different lower or upper indicators. And then once you've made your selection of how you like to view the chart, you see down below here at the bottom, let me open this up full screen and scroll down a little bit further on the left, you can simply store the chart settings. Now it uses a cookie to store the chart settings here based on what you like to use as an analysis. If your browser specifically deletes cookies at the end of every session, of course, you wouldn't save this for you, so you wouldn't be able to see it. But we just want to link to the stock chart first and say, is this something I'd be interested in trading? Does the trend match what I'm interested in, what my expectations are of a bullish stock or stock moving up in price over the next 30 to 45 days? Okay, if so, then I'll just close down the profit and loss chart there. We'll go back to the main search screen. As I mentioned, I'm not sure what AMT does. What is their company basis? So my next step, okay, I like the chart, looks good to me. If I didn't like the chart, well, I would just move to the second trade. This does match all my criteria for AMT, but I didn't like the chart, so let me move to Advanced Auto Parts, and I'd start by looking at the stock chart for AAP. Let's go back to the American Tower. The next thing I'm going to do is probably look at the company info, and I'll take a look at the profile. This will link me to the Yahoo Finance profile page. So, whoop, sorry about that. Hold on one second. There we go. So what I can view here is just basic summary. As a wireless and broadcast telecommunications company, developed, owns, and operates communications sites. You get some information of the key executives here, and of course the sector of technology and diversified communications services. This is just a brief overview of the company, but it's helpful to view. If, for example, I don't think that the telecommunications or wireless right now is a great company to be in, or if I was going to trade a wireless communications company, I would focus on one of the bigger names such as Comcast or Verizon, for example. I might just go ahead and skip this position and then again move on to the next one. One of the next research fields I might do is back in that company information link. I might look at the earnings and events, for example, or the recent news headlines. I like looking at the recent news headlines, especially on a company that I have not been following or a company I'm not familiar with, because if there's any mention of any kind of boardroom scandal or CEO scandal or anything along those lines, that might be something I want to avoid. I don't want any kind of fear or any kind of uncertainty in market management when entering into a position. All right, so we've looked at the stock chart. We've taken a look at the company information, the news, and the profile. What I like to do next is we talked in the beginning about using the search by symbol tool. If I was interested in AMT when I first logged on to PowerOptions, I would have pulled up AMT and maybe searched for April put options to see the different combinations and which one best matches my risk-reward tolerance. Now you see, if you look across the chart here, look across the results table, here's our AMT position we're discussing. But further down, there's another AMT position. Instead of the April 55, we're showing we could purchase the April 52.5 for about $7.50. This would give us a higher risk of $2.30 or 4.2%. However, we're only 11% in the money as opposed to 16%. There might even be a good potential to buy AMT at 47.30, potentially buy the April 50 put, and still have a risk of less than 7 or less than 8% that matched our criteria. Now, why would I choose a higher risk position on a given stock? Well, let's analyze that. What I'm going to do is link now to the search by symbol tool for AMT. It's going to link me directly to the April selection of married put combinations for AMT. I'm going to have to go ahead and pull up all results here. It automatically linked me to less results, but I want to pull up all results so we still have that 55 strike in there that we were originally reviewing. All right, so we found the result of the April 55 put for AMT. Maximum risk of 2.8% is roughly 16% in the money. As we discussed, here's the April 52.5 strike put. We saw that on the first page as well, with about that 4.2, 4.1% at risk. Well, I also shown we could potentially buy the 50 strike put, and this does match our criteria. The ask price is $5.90. Total net debit would be $53.17. So I'd be risking $3.17 or 6%, and I'm only 5.8% in the money. Why am I focusing on the range in the money? When talking about the radioactive trading techniques, what we're doing is we're buying stock, we're buying an in-the-money put option to have a limited risk of single digits. My actual personal preference is less than 7%. If I chose the April 55 put, that's 16% in the money, I do have a low risk of 2.8%, but I want the stock to move up after I enter an RPM. If I'm expecting the stock to move up in price, I might want to look to do some of the bullish income methods. I'm going to want the stock to move up about 5 to 8% before applying an income method. In reality, when I trade the RPM techniques, I really want the stock to be trading right at or just below the put strike price to take better advantage of the ATM bell curve. That's almost the best time to apply an income method, when the stock's trading right at your put strike price. So when I was evaluating the chart, in the back of my mind, I was saying to myself, well, based on where the stock has been, what is the likelihood, in my opinion, that it might be trading at or above $55 in the next 30, 45, or 60 days? Well, if I have a low expectation of the stock moving that far, moving 16% over the next 30 to 60 days, but I think it's based on where the stock has been and its performance and its strength, I feel the stock is more likely to be trading up 6% in the next 30 to 45 days. I might want to take on a position with a higher risk because there's going to be a better likelihood that I might apply an income method sooner as the stock moves up in price and is trading closer to $50 per share in the next 45 to 60 days. But again, that depends on your threshold. If your risk threshold is to use protection, and when you're using insurance you don't want to take a risk of greater than 5%, you would never look at the 50 strike put option. It would have too high of a risk for you. If, for example, you only want to look for positions that have a risk of less than 4%, I have talked to PowerOptions customers who are trading radioactively and only look for puts that have or put combinations that have a risk between 1 and 4%. Well, we'd only see the 55 strike put, the deep in the money put, with a 2.8% at risk. So depending on what your threshold is and your expectation of the stock, you want to use the search by symbol tool to evaluate which one best matches not only your risk threshold, but your expectation of the stock going forward. Now, all of this could be